Chapter 160. Why didn't she help? Chu Luiyue sneered in her heart. Instead, she wanted to ask herself why she should help. She and Gu Mingzhu were not related at all. Moreover, Gu Mingzhu had betrayed her to the black flying python in order to save her own life. She had yet to settle this score. How could the Gu family have the nerve to ask her to pay for Gu Mingzhu's life? Chu Luiyue said indifferently, the situation was critical at that time. It was already extremely difficult for me to survive. How could I care about other things? Madam Gu, don't forget that it was a black flying python. Do you think I'm its match? Yu Jinling was speechless. Then how did you escape? Who knows if you used my daughter's life in exchange for a way out? Yes, that must be it. Yu Jinling suddenly raised her voice, as if she was certain that Chu Luiyue must have used despicable means to survive. Chu Luiyue was so angry that she laughed. As the saying went, like father, like son. Yu Jinling and Gu Mingzhu, this pair of mother and daughter, indeed had the same brain circuit. If the person present at that time was Yu Jinling, she would probably make the same choice as Gu Mingzhu and use someone else's life in exchange for her own. Madam Gu, I've already said it very clearly. I was lucky to be able to come back alive. But if you don't want to believe me, then what else can I say? You only believe in your own imagination. Since that's the case, you can think whatever you want. But today, if you can't produce evidence, I won't go with you. I still have something to do, so I'll leave first. With that, Chu Luiyue turned to leave. You can't leave. Yu Jinling took a few steps forward and was about to grab Chu Luiyue's sleeve, but she gently swayed and dodged. Chu Luiyue's patience was completely exhausted. Madam Gu, I don't have that much patience. Her tone was very calm, but a cold light seemed to flash in her obsidian-like eyes. For some reason, Madame Gu suddenly felt a little timid and did not dare to reach out to grab Chu Luiyue. Chu Luiyue turned around and walked towards the academy. Bai Chen walked in front of Yu Jinling and sighed, persuading her, Madame Gu, I know that Mingzhu's incident is a huge blow to you. As teachers, we are also very sad. But even so, they couldn't just randomly accuse others, right? Moreover, we all know Lu Yu's character. She would never do something like that. So I think you should go back and have a good rest today. Yu Jinling refused. Teacher Bai Chen, you're determined to protect Chu Luiyue today, aren't you? What kind of soup did she feed you to make you trust her so much? Think about it. In that kind of situation, if she didn't use some kind of method, how could she have escaped? Bai Chen's expression also turned cold. Madam Gu, are you saying that all the teachers and elders of Tianlu Academy are covering for Chu Luiyue? Yu Jinling thought that this might not be impossible, but she didn't dare to say it out loud. She glared viciously at Chu Luiyue. Her eyes were filled with hatred. Lu Yao was right. Chu Luiyue was really a vicious and venomous snake. I don't know what kind of person Chu Luiyue is. I only know that she could betray the Chu family that gave birth to her. She kicked them away and even wanted to peel off a layer of their skin after she left. She stirred up chaos in the Chu family, let alone other people. Chu Luiyue, if you don't give me a satisfactory explanation today, I won't leave. After she finished speaking, her legs turned to jelly, and she collapsed on the ground, crying out loud. Mingzhu, my poor daughter. You died so tragically. Someone else caused your death, but I couldn't do anything about it. Mother is useless. Mother is useless. When the few followers beside her saw this, they immediately knelt down and cried in unison. Second Missy, you've been harmed by that evil person. The corners of Chu Luiyue's eyes twitched. Was she planning to cry at Tianlu Academy's entrance? She frowned and looked back. She only felt that it was ridiculous. No matter what, Yu Jinling was the matriarch of the Gu family. She had a noble status. How could she do such a thing? No matter how sorrowful and angry she was, her actions were equivalent to throwing the Gu family's face. Why didn't she consider it at all? When Yu Jinling saw Chu Luiyue's reaction, she thought that she was afraid and cried even harder. Her shrill and mournful voice could be heard from afar. Very quickly, many people gathered outside the entrance to watch the commotion. Some people started pointing at Chu Luiyue as if they were gossiping. Bai Chen had never seen such a scene before. He was momentarily stunned. After regaining his senses, he was furious. If they cried like this, where would Chu Luiwei and Tianlu Academy be? He frowned and said, Madame Gu, it's not appropriate for you to make such a scene, right? Yu Zhenling pretended not to hear anything. She only cared about crying. You? Bai Qin had a bad temper. He immediately panicked. Chu Luiwei hurriedly pulled him back. Teacher Bai Qin, don't do anything. With so many people watching, whoever made the first move would be in the wrong. Bai Chen was extremely frustrated. Are we just going to let them make a scene here? What about your reputation? The surrounding people had already heard the gist of the situation. They started discussing in low voices. I was wondering why this person's identity was so special. So she's the Gu family's matriarch. No wonder she dared to go against Tianlu Academy. That's not right. Tianlu Academy is not that easy to provoke. You don't know this, right? Gu Mingzhu was her only daughter. She relied on Gu Mingzhu to stabilize her position in the Gu family. Now that Gu Mingzhu is dead, there are many people coveting her position. She's in danger now. How can she not hate her? She can't be blamed for making such a scene without caring about anything else. I see. Based on what she said, it was Chu Luiwei who killed Gu Mingzhu? I find it strange too. Think about it. It was such a dangerous situation, but why did Chu Luiwei survive? Gu Mingzhu was the Gu family's most favored second young mistress. She must have some trump cards. Even she is dead, but Chu Luiwei? Actually, I wanted to say this a long time ago. This Chu Luiwei is really strange. Back then, the Chu family didn't treat her well. After she cut ties with them, the Chu family's days became difficult. I heard that Gu Mingzhu didn't have a good relationship with her. She died after being trapped with her. It is really hard to say. Bai Chen was furious when he heard the discussions around him. However, when he saw Chu Luiwei's expression, not only was he not angry, but he even smiled. Little Luyu, how can you still smile now? If you let these people continue, you will really be the sinner who killed Gu Mingzhu. Do you know that 3 people make a tiger? Chu Luiwei crossed his arms and smiled faintly. Teacher Bai Chen, they specially arranged so many people to put on a show. Wouldn't it be a waste if we don't enjoy it? Bai Chen was stunned. You mean these people? It's hard for Madame Gu to do such a despicable thing with her status. Chu Luiwei said softly and walked in front of Yu Zhenling. Madame Gu, tell me who taught you these things. Yu Zhenling's crying stopped abruptly. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 161. She guiltily avoided Chu Luiwei's gaze and deliberately raised her voice. What are you talking about? No one taught me anything. I'm the one who wants to seek justice from you. If you don't give me an explanation today, I won't leave. Chu Luiwei softly said, Oh. Madame Gu, it's fine if you don't say anything, but you have to think carefully. Is it worth it to sacrifice your status as the Gu family's matriarch just for a moment of pleasure? Yu Zhenling really couldn't cry now. What are you trying to say? What do you mean by it's not worth it? Chu Luiwei sighed. She really didn't know how Yu Zhenling had protected her status all these years. She was so extreme and easily instigated by others. She even helped others count the money after being betrayed. It was really useless to persuade her. She calmly said, You insist that I caused Gu Mingzhu's death, but you can't produce any evidence. If this matter spreads, it won't do me any good. It's the same for you, Madame Gu. After all, to be more precise, you're slandering me. Who's slandering you? You've done something wrong, but you don't dare to admit it. Yu Zhenling was certain that Chu Luiwei had something to do with Gu Mingzhu's death. She wouldn't listen to anything now. She sneered. Chu Luiwei, do you think you're very proud now? Yes, you got into Tianlu Academy and became a so-called genius. Normal people really don't dare to provoke you. Even the Chu family is being toyed with by you. It's falling apart because of you. However, who knows how you obtained all of this? You were clearly a cripple with a blocked yuan meridian a few years ago. Now, under this so-called genius title, who knows what secrets are hidden? If you're really honest, Do you dare to say it clearly in front of so many people? These words came out like a string of cannonballs, which immediately silenced the surrounding people. Countless pairs of eyes looked at Chu Luiwei with curiosity and excitement. Obviously, they also wanted to know the answer. After hearing this, Chu Luiwei relaxed her brows. As expected, it was still related to the Chu family. There were only a few people who hated her to the core. She didn't need to ask to guess. However, in order to deal with her, he had gone through so much trouble and even encouraged Yu Jinling to bring the Gu family to cause trouble. He was really brainless as usual. She whispered, "Mrs. Gu, you're standing up for someone. Don't be unaware that you're being used in the end." Yu Jinling sneered. "What? Can't say it? Let me tell you, even if this matter is brought up to His Majesty, I will not let you off easily. Only your death can make up for my daughter's life." From the looks of it, he was determined to fight to the death with Chu Luiwei. "Madam Gu, aren't you going overboard by asking for the life of a Tianlu Academy student?" An old and deep voice rang out, immediately suppressing the cries of Yu Jinling and the others. Chu Luiwei looked at the person in surprise. "Elder's son? Why are you here?" Elder's son looked at her and tried his best to maintain a calm expression. However, he couldn't help but look happy. "I heard that you were back, so I wanted to come and take a look. I didn't expect to hear cries from afar. So, someone is making things difficult for you." Chu Luiwei coughed in embarrassment. "Sorry to disturb you." "It's not really a disturbance. Even if it is, it's someone else. It's not your fault." As Elder's son spoke, he looked at Yu Jinling and saw her sitting on the ground without a care for her image. His face darkened. "Madam Gu, what are you doing?" Yu Jinling was shocked. She didn't expect Elder's son to appear. Although she was furious, she knew that Elder's son was one of the top people in Tianlu Academy. She didn't dare to be impudent in front of him. Thus, she hurriedly stood up and said, "Elder's son, you came at the right time. Mingzhu is also a student of the academy, but she died tragically outside. Even her corpse." As she spoke, tears flowed down her face again. "All of this is Chu Luiwei's fault. She caused Mingzhu's death. Such a vicious person doesn't have the right to stay in Tianlu Academy." Elder Son's frown deepened. "Lu Yu caused Mingzhu's death? Where did you hear this from? Why don't I know about it?" "Elder Son, do you know that the two of them were trapped on a mountain? Mingzhu is dead, but Chu Luiwei is still alive. Don't you think it's strange?" Elder Son looked at her with a heavy gaze and interrupted her mercilessly. "Of course, I know about this because I was at the foot of the mountain. I saw it clearly." Yu Jinling was stunned and immediately rejoiced. "That's great. So, you saw everything that happened at that time? Chu Luiwei caused Mingzhu's death, right? Chu Luiwei, don't you want evidence? Elder Son is here. His words are the evidence." As one of the great elders of Tianlu Academy, Sun Zhongyan's status was extraordinary. Normally, he would not side with anyone. No one would doubt the truth of what he said. Chu Luiwei was also surprised. "Elder Son, you were there at the time?" Elder Son nodded. "Only the two of you were trapped, so I let the others leave first. I went alone to save the two of you. However, when I reached the foot of the mountain, I realized that it was occupied by countless fiend beasts. There was no way to enter, let alone anything else." Chu Luiwei understood, and her heart warmed. "I see." She did not expect this to happen. Elder Son could be considered to have done everything he could for them. "You don't have to blame yourself. The situation was critical. If you had barged in, you would have been in trouble." Elder Son sighed. "I saw the two of you being swallowed by the black whirlpool with my own eyes. That's why I thought you were. I didn't expect you to return safely." He was actually very curious. He did not know how Chu Luiwei had escaped, but now was not the time to ask. He stepped forward and looked at Yu Jinling. "Madam Gu, you should apologize to Lu Yu." Yu Jinling was stunned. "What?" Elder Son said word by word. "That's because the person who betrayed her fellow disciples in exchange for a chance to live was not Chu Luiwei, but Gu Mingzhu." Digression. The remaining two photos were slightly later, around noon. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience came from Love Network. Chapter 162. Elder Sun's words were full of energy. It was like a sudden clap of thunder. Not only Yu Jinling but everyone else was also dumbfounded. This meant, Elder Sun? What are you talking about? Yu Jinling subconsciously retorted, the one who is alive now is Chu Luiyue. The one who is dead is my Mingzhu. How could it be? At that time, Chu Luiyue and Gu Mingzhu were trapped on the mountain. The black flying python led many magical beasts and surrounded the mountain. Actually, from the beginning, the black flying python wanted to kill Lu Yu. But at that time, the black flying python was trapped for some reason. Lu Yu wanted to take the opportunity to escape. But just as she was about to escape, Gu Mingzhu stopped her. Not only did she attack Lu Yu, she also hugged her leg and didn't let her leave. Although I was some distance away, I saw that she was holding Lu Yu back while talking to the black flying python. But the black flying python didn't care and directly swallowed her into the black vortex. Lu Yu was dragged down by her and couldn't hold on for long. She was also sucked into the vortex. With every word Elder Sun said, Yu Jinling's face turned paler. In the end, she was as pale as a ghost. Her strength seemed to have been sucked away in an instant. She was on the verge of collapsing. The people beside her quickly went forward to support her. Impossible. This is impossible. Mingzhu isn't that kind of person. She wouldn't do such a thing. She appeared fierce on the outside but was weak on the inside. Although she appeared to be strong on the surface, she actually felt a little guilty. Gu Mingzhu was her daughter, so she knew her best. When Gu Mingzhu returned home, she had repeatedly expressed her dissatisfaction with Chu Luiyue. Later, she made a bet with Chu Luiyue and lost 2 level 5 Xian formation diagrams. Gu Mingzhu hated her even more. The two of them were trapped. She might really, Elder Sun said coldly, Madame Gu, are you saying that I'm lying? Yu Jinling couldn't speak. Her forehead was already covered in cold sweat. How could she dare to say that Elder Sun was lying? Moreover, even if she didn't believe it, Elder Sun was a person of virtue and prestige. Others would definitely think that what he said was true. Yesterday, when she received Lu Yao's letter, she was blinded by anger. All she wanted was to take Chu Luiyue's life. But now, even Elder Sun stood up for Chu Luiyue. The situation had already been decided. Even if she continued to cause trouble, it would be useless. Seeing Yu Jinling like this, everyone came back to their senses. Yu Jinling originally wanted to cause trouble for Chu Luiyue, but now that Elder Sun had spoken, she could no longer pester endlessly. Seeing that the situation was not right, a few people in the crowd quietly turned around and left. Chu Luiyue glanced at him but did not stop him. In any case, she had already guessed who was behind this, so she didn't need to waste her energy on these small fries. Just as Yu Jinling didn't know what to do, the sound of hurried footsteps came from afar. The crowd quickly opened up a path. A middle-aged man rushed over with his entourage, looking anxious. When he saw Yu Jinling, his expression became even more unsightly. What are you doing here? Hearing this angry shout, Yu Jinling's body trembled and she turned around. Patriarch? The person who came over was burly and had a square face. He looked dignified without being angry. It was the patriarch of the Gu family, Gu Yunfei. He glared fiercely at Yu Jinling. What did I tell you yesterday? Have you forgotten? Yu Jinling shivered and lowered her head, not daring to look at him. I was just thinking about Mingzhu. Gu Yunfei was about to explode in anger. Everything was fine yesterday, but Yu Jinling suddenly ran to him and said that Chu Luiyue must have done something to Mingzhu to be able to come back alive. She said that he must capture Chu Luiyue and interrogate her properly. Gu Yunfei was skeptical. He had always doted on Gu Mingzhu. He felt terrible about her death, but he did not lose his rationality. On one hand, this was only their speculation. They did not have any evidence, so they could not accuse Chu Luiyue. On the other hand, Chu Luiyue's status was different from before. She was highly regarded in Tianlu Academy. How could it be so easy to touch her? He told Yu Jinling not to act rashly and to wait until they had enough evidence. Yu Jinling agreed at that time, but he did not expect her to do it. She even dared to bring people to Tianlu Academy to cause trouble. Looking at Yu Jinling's pathetic state, the Gu family's face and Gu Yunfei's face were all lost. Shut up. Yu Jinling was shocked. She knew that she was in the wrong, so she did not dare to say another word. Gu Yunfei took a deep breath and walked quickly to Old Sun with an apologetic expression. Old Sun, I'm really sorry. I didn't discipline her well, which caused her to cause such a huge commotion. You have always been magnanimous. Please, on account of the fact that we have just lost our daughter, can you let this matter pass? Old Sun waved his hand. You don't have to say that. You don't have to apologize to me. This matter has damaged Lu Yu's reputation. You should ask her. Gu Yunfei was stunned and a little surprised. Old Sun seemed to take special care of Chu Luiyue. At the end of the day, Chu Luiyue was just a student of the academy. Tianlu Academy's reputation had been tarnished by the commotion today. However, Elder Sun's first consideration was Chu Luiyue. He suppressed the shock in his heart and said to Yu Jinling angrily, "Did you hear what Old Sun said? Why aren't you apologizing to Lu Yu?" Yu Jinling widened her eyes. Family head, you want me to apologize to her? She was the matriarch of the Gu family. Who is Chu Luiyue? Gu Yunfei said coldly, do you want me to apologize on your behalf? Yu Jinling was shocked, and her aura immediately weakened. Without Mingzhu, her position in the Gu family was very dangerous. If she offended the family head now, then she gritted her teeth, and her legs felt like they were filled with lead. She walked step by step to Chu Luiyue, and her voice seemed to be squeezed out from her throat with difficulty. I'm sorry. Chu Luiyue blinked. Madam Gu, what did you say? I didn't hear you clearly. Yu Jinling was so angry that her whole body trembled. How could she not have heard clearly? She was deliberately making things difficult for her. Gu Yunfei looked at her warningly. Yu Jinling had no choice but to close her eyes in resentment. I'm sorry. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 163. Chu Luiyue looked at her sympathetically. I wouldn't dare. Madame Gu is of noble status. I can't accept your apology. However, Madame Gu, you seem to be crying too hard just now. Listen, your voice is hoarse now. Yu Jinling was so angry that she almost couldn't breathe. Wasn't she mocking her on purpose? That's enough. Gu Yunfei shouted angrily and looked at his subordinates behind him. Hurry up and send Madame Gu back. Take care of her. Yes. They hurried forward and half supported and half forced Yu Jinling away. With Gu Yunfei here, Yu Jinling didn't dare to make a fuss no matter how angry she was. She could only leave with them. Gu Yunfei finally heaved a sigh of relief when they were completely out of sight. Elder Son, Lu Yu this, Master Gu, Elder Son already said it very clearly. Gu Mingzhu failed to harm me and lost her life in the end. In fact, it wasn't just this time. It was the same before. She wanted to steal the cub of the golden mane bear but failed and was hunted down instead. Later, she purposely dragged our team down with her, causing us to be threatened by the golden mane bear. If it weren't for our good luck, even Mu Hongyu and the rest wouldn't have been able to escape death, much less me. Chu Luiyue's expression was calm, but what she said shocked everyone once again. I'm of ordinary status. It doesn't matter if I die or get hurt. However, Mu Hongyu is Princess Yongping. If something happens to her because of this, Master Gu, I'm afraid you'll be in trouble. Gu Yunfei's remaining words were stuck in his throat. He didn't know if Chu Luiyue was telling the truth, but Elder Son was on her side. Even if it was fake, it was true. I originally thought that since Gu Mingzhu is no longer here, we don't need to pursue this matter. After all, the dead are more important. However, I didn't expect that after I gave in again and again, all I got in return was groundless accusations and slander. Master Gu, although I'm not a great person, I won't admit to things I haven't done. If others want to slander me, I definitely won't sit back and do nothing. Fortunately, Elder Son was here today. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to clear my name even if I jumped into the Yellow River. What do you think? Gu Yunfei felt a chill run down his back. Then what do you want? Chu Luiyue paused and smiled. Mrs. Gu has already apologized to me in front of everyone. Of course, I won't hold it against her. Let's just forget about this matter. The stone in Gu Yunfei's heart was finally lifted. That's good, that's good. However, Chu Liwei took a step forward, lowered his voice, and laughed. Gu family head, Madame Gue has lost her beloved daughter. Now that she's grieving, it's easy for her to be incited by others. Perhaps someone might take advantage of her. You'd better pay more attention. Gu Yunfei's heart thumped. The farce finally came to an end. Chu Liwei returned to the academy and briefly told Elder Sun and Bai Chen what had happened over the past 2 days. However, she didn't mention how she had escaped from the black vortex. She only said that she had fainted and found herself lying in the forest when she woke up. She didn't know what had happened. Elder Sun didn't believe it, but seeing that Chu Liwei didn't seem to want to talk about it, he didn't pursue the matter. He told her to rest well and let her go. Before Chu Liwei returned to her residence, she bumped into Mu Hongyu and Sun Hu, who were looking for her. When the two saw Chu Liwei standing in front of them, they were overjoyed. "Lui, it's really you. It's really you." Mu Hongyu hugged her, crying and laughing at the same time. Sun Hu scratched his head and laughed so hard that the corners of his mouth almost reached the back of his head. "Ah, I told you that Lu Yu wouldn't go back on her words. We agreed to meet outside the mountains. Isn't it true now?" Chu Liwei saw that the two of them looked haggard and knew that they had been suffering for the past few days. Her heart ached as she patted Mu Hongyu's shoulder. "I've always been a man of my words. On the other hand, the two of you look so sickly." Mu Hongyu wiped her tears. "Of course not." As she spoke, she couldn't help but burst into laughter. "I heard that the matriarch of the Gu family came to find trouble with you? How could they have the cheek to do that?" Chu Liwei shook her head. "It's already been resolved. Madame Gu probably won't have an easy time in the future." Sun Hu asked doubtfully. "How do you know? After all, she's the matriarch of the Gu family." Chu Liu's lips curved up. "It's precisely because she's the matriarch that this matter is so serious." The Chu residence. After hearing the news from the servants, Lu Yao was in a daze for a long time. She sat in her chair in a daze and muttered in disbelief. How could this be? Could it be that this still couldn't bring her down? Not only did it not bring her down, but it even cleared Chu Liu's name. With Elder Sun's words, there would no longer be such a rumor in the entire imperial city. Chu Liu had cleared her name without any effort. What exactly did she rely on to avoid danger time and time again? "It's all because of you." Now, everyone knows that Elder Sun is also Chu Liu's backer. Chu Yen was seriously injured and couldn't get out of bed. Her temper had become even more irritable, and she would scold her frequently. Lu Yao was vexed. "I didn't know that things would turn out this way." "It's all because you're brainless." Just as the two of them were quarreling, hurried footsteps suddenly came from outside. Lu Yao took a look and saw a group of people rushing into the courtyard. They looked unfriendly. "What are you doing? Is this a place where you can come in as you please? All of you, get out." The person at the front sneered and said sarcastically, "Third madam, we're here on First Elder's orders to invite you to the main hall." Lu Yao's heart skipped a beat. Why is First Elder looking for me? Heh, don't you know what you've done? Now, the Gu family is also waiting for you. Please. Lu Yao's heart sank when she heard the words Gu family. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 164. Mu Hongyu was originally worried that Chu Liu would be bullied by Madame Gu, but seeing her calm and composed appearance, she was relieved. Thinking about it, Chu Liu could escape from the black flying python. What else could she not do? A mere Gu family was nothing to them. Forget it. Let's not talk about that. Now that you're back, we have to properly celebrate. Mu Hongyu's almond-shaped eyes sparkled as she spoke. Lu Yu, you said you would take us to Phoenix Restaurant last time. I haven't been there in a long time. Chu Liu lightly knocked her head. When your body recovers, you can go there every day. For now, you'd better stay here obediently. Mu Hongyu's smile immediately disappeared. She raised 2 fingers. I swear, I definitely won't drink. Is that okay? We'll only go eat. Chu Luiwei raised her brows. Really? Mu Hongyu hurriedly nodded. Really? Lu, just promise me. I beg you. Chu Luiwei pretended to hesitate for a while before finally nodding. Okay. They had probably been heartbroken because of her for the past few days. It was time for them to relax. Then let's go tonight. Senhu, Liao Zhongshu and Gu Mingfeng as well. Senhu scratched his head, a little troubled. Liao Zhongshu's body hasn't recovered yet. He's been bedridden. I'm afraid he can't go. Chu Luiwei was a little surprised. Liao Zhongshu's injuries are that serious? I remember that it was mainly some flesh wounds at that time. After a few days, he should have recovered a little. Why can't he even get out of bed? Speaking of this, Mu Hongyu and Senhu's expressions were a little unsightly. That's right. The academy's teachers have already taken a look at him and given him medicine. But for some reason, his injuries keep coming back and haven't improved. Senhu continued. There's also Gu Mingfeng. He hasn't returned to the academy these past 2 days. But I heard that he was chased out of the Gu family. Chu Luiwei was stunned. Why would the Gu family do this all of a sudden? Mu Hongyu pursed her lips. Isn't it because of Gu Mingzhu? Gu Mingfeng has always been disliked in the Gu family. Now that Gu Mingzhu is dead, the Gu family is pushing all the blame onto him. Senhu clenched his fists. Anyway, he rarely went back. It's no longer considered his home. It's good that he's gone. Chu Luiwei shook his head. That's not the case. It was one thing for Gu Mingfeng to not be valued, but it was another thing for him to be kicked out. In the past, he was in the Gu family in the past, the families. Chu Luiwei thought for a moment and said, that's right. I'm afraid we won't be able to eat today's meal. Senhu, go look for Gu Mingfeng. If you have any news, inform us immediately. Hongyu and I will visit Liao Zhongshu first. Upon hearing Chu Luiwei's words, the duo agreed. After all, they had gone through life and death together. They couldn't ignore him. Mu Hongyu stopped joking. I know where Liao Zhongshu lives. Come with me. The moment Chu Luiwei followed Mu Hongyu to the warrior student's residence, they attracted a lot of attention. The news of Chu Luiwei's safe return had already spread throughout the academy the day before. Many people were curious when they heard that she was coming back today. Seeing that Chu Luiwei had actually come to the warrior's residence, it naturally caused quite a commotion. Chu Luiwei ignored it and followed Mu Hongyu to a small building. Mu Hongyu walked to the door and knocked. Jiurong, are you there? The door was quickly opened. It was a tall and thin youth. He recognized Mu Hongyu at a glance and smiled warmly. Mu Hongyu, are you here to take a look at Zhongshu? Mu Hongyu nodded. Yes. Lu Yu and I are here to visit him. The youth was stunned when he heard Chu Luiwei's name. Only then did he see that there was another person behind her. A strange expression flashed across his face, but it was fleeting. So you came together. Come in. Zhongshu just woke up. You can go up and visit him. Chu Luiwei narrowed her eyes. Mu Hongyu didn't sense anything wrong. She pulled Chu Luiwei to the second floor. We'll go up first. Sorry to trouble you these few days. Ji Yurong smiled. We're all classmates. It's my duty. You guys chat. I have something to do, so I'll go out first. After saying that, he simply packed up his things, closed the door, and left. Chu Luiwei looked back at him. She didn't know if it was an illusion, but she felt that Ji Yurong's footsteps seemed to be fleeing. As she went up the stairs, she asked, that Ji Yurong also lives here? That's right. He's been living here with Zhongshu. This is the martial artist area. Everyone lives together. It's not like you mystics who have good conditions and can each have your own courtyard. Zhongshu often talks about him, but he's a bit introverted and rarely interacts with us. Mu Hongyu said as she walked. However, he's really a good person. He's been taking care of Zhongshu for the past few days. Chu Luiwei nodded and didn't ask any more questions. As they spoke, the two reached the bedroom on the second floor. As soon as they entered, Chu Luiwei saw Liao Zhongshu lying on the bed and couldn't help but be shocked. In just a few days, Liao Zhongshu had lost a lot of weight. His cheeks were deeply sunken, and his eyes were dim. He looked very haggard. Seeing Chu Luiwei and Ji Yurong enter, Liao Zhongshu revealed a pale smile and raised his hand with difficulty. "You're here? Sit down." Mu Hongyu furrowed her brows. "Why do you look worse than 2 days ago? Did you not take your medicine properly?" Liao Zhongshu shook his head, his voice weak. "It's fine if my body doesn't live up to expectations. But Lu, it's great that you're back." Even though he was sick, he had heard about Chu Liyue's matters. Thus, he was very happy to see her standing here in one piece. Chu Liyue stepped forward and put her hand on his wrist. "What did the teachers say about your body?" Liao Zhongshu's lips moved and he coughed. "Cough, cough. It's nothing. It's not a big problem. It's just that my body is too weak and I can't absorb the medicine properly. That's why I haven't gotten better. The teachers said to take the medicine for 2 days and see." Cough. Chu Liyue frowned slightly. Mu Hongyu asked curiously, "Luyu, did you see anything?" Chu Liyue suddenly pulled the blanket off him. "Hey, Luyu." Mu Hongyu jumped in fright and tried to stop her. Unfortunately, Chu Liyue was too fast and couldn't stop her. Liao Zhongshu didn't expect Chu Liyue to do this either. He was instantly embarrassed and tried to pull the blanket up. However, Chu Liyue didn't care about their expressions. Her eyes were fixed on his left leg. A piece of flesh had been bitten off his left leg, and it was swollen beyond recognition. It was twice as thick as his other leg, and it almost tore his pants apart. Mu Hongyu exclaimed, "What's going on?" Liao Zhongshu's face turned pale. "It's been like this since the day I came back. The teachers don't know why." Chu Liyue pondered for a moment. "You've been poisoned. You've been poisoned." Chapter 165. Poisoned? Mu Hongyu was also shocked. She did not care about her embarrassment and quickly walked forward. "Are you sure? Do you know what kind of poison he was poisoned with?" Chu Liyue covered Liao Zhongshu with the blanket once more. Instead of answering Mu Hongyu's question, he turned to Liao Zhongshu and asked, "Have your legs been itching for the past 2 days? Furthermore, they start bleeding whenever you scratch them?" Liao Zhongshu nodded in a daze. "That is indeed the case." "How did you know?" Chu Liyue had only taken a glance through his clothes, yet he was able to guess it so accurately. "How I know isn't important. What's important is that the poison has already spread throughout your body. In less than 3 days it will reach your lungs. At that time, there will be nothing I can do." Liao Zhongshu immediately became nervous. So serious? But I haven't even left my room since I came back. How could I be poisoned? Furthermore, the teachers didn't say anything about it. This poison is known as red blood goo, and it's an extremely rare type of poison. Once infected, the wounds on the body will fester over and over again, unable to heal. Even worse, the area around the wound will rapidly fill with blood, and the skin will become brittle. The itch will be unbearable, and the slightest touch will cause the wound to rupture. In the end, your skin will crack and you will die of blood loss. With every word Chu Liyue spoke, Mu Hongyu and Liao Zhongshu's faces turned paler. By the end, their faces were as pale as ghosts. This was especially true for Liao Zhongshu. He was already on the verge of death, and after hearing those words, he found it hard to breathe. This. I don't know what happened either. Could it be that He couldn't finish his words, but Chu Liyue and Mu Hongyu knew what he was worried about. Even the teachers of the academy couldn't see through such a formidable poison, let alone treat it. This meant that he only had a few days left to live. Mu Hongyu looked worriedly at Chu Liyue. "Luyu, is it really that serious? Then do you have any ideas? Since you were able to recognize it, you must have a solution, right?" Liao Zhongshu also looked at her with a glimmer of hope. Chu Liyue remained silent for a moment. "I recognize this poison, but if you want to completely cure it, you need at least 100 herbs. Most of them are extremely precious. It will be difficult to find them in a short period of time. If it was her previous life, it wouldn't be a problem for her to deal with this kind of poison. But with the current circumstances, it was really difficult. There were some herbs that could not be found even in the entire country. the light in Liao Zhongshu's eyes gradually dimming eyes. He was stunned for a moment before he smiled bitterly. I guess I can only wait. Mu Hongyu looked at Chu Luiyue and then at Liao Zhongshu. Her heart felt like it was being roasted on fire. She and Liao Zhongshu had always had a good relationship. In addition, Liao Zhongshu had helped them a lot in surviving this time. The friendship between them had long surpassed that of ordinary fellow disciples. But now, they were actually going to watch him die right in front of their eyes? The room fell into silence for a moment. Chu Luiyue suddenly asked, "How did you get poisoned?" Liao Zhongshu was at a loss. I don't know. I was fine before I went to Wanling Mountain. But after I came back, my wounds kept worsening. So you were poisoned in the academy after you came back? I think so. After I came back, I didn't even leave this room. As Liao Zhongshu spoke, he frowned and fell into deep thought. But I don't know what went wrong either. Ever since I came back to recuperate, I've been taking medicine and resting according to the teacher's instructions. I haven't touched anything else. Chu Luiyue crossed her arms and suddenly asked, "How does Ji Yurong treat you?" Him? He treats me very well. He has been taking care of me for the past few days. Do you suspect that he poisoned me? Liao Zhongshu finally understood what Chu Luiyue meant, but he subconsciously denied it. That's impossible. We've been living here since the day we were admitted to the academy. We get along well. Although we're not as close as biological brothers, we have a good relationship. He has no reason to harm me. Mu Hongyu could not help but interrupt. That's right. Liu, I know that Ji Yurong. He's a good person. I don't think he would do such a sinister thing. You can't judge a book by its cover. If it wasn't him, did you poison yourself? Chu Luiyue disagreed with the two's words. If he really didn't do anything, why did Ji Yurong look so guilty when he saw her? Mu Hongyu and Liao Zhongshu were speechless. Chu Luiyue's words were reasonable. What do we do now? We can't just arrest him and interrogate him, right? Then, even if he did it, he definitely wouldn't admit to it. Mu Hongyu rubbed her temples and felt that her head was hurting. Chu Luiyue looked around and saw an empty bowl beside Liao Zhongshu. She could faintly smell a faint medicinal fragrance. Is this the bowl you drink your medicine from? It's so clean. Liao Zhongshu nodded. Every time I drink my medicine, Yurong would immediately wash the bowl. He said that the smell was too strong and he was worried that it would affect my rest. So, he would wait until I finished drinking it and wash it before bringing it back. Liao Zhongshu's voice gradually trailed off. He looked at the bowl with a strange expression. Could it really be him? At first, he thought that Ji Yurong was taking care of him and was very grateful. But now that he thought about it, it was indeed strange. He was a patient. So what if he smelled the medicine? Even he did not care. Why did Ji Yurong care so much about it? He tried to persuade Ji Yurong not to go through so much trouble, but Ji Yurong always said that it was a small matter. Mu Hongyu suddenly jumped up and ran to the bowl to examine it carefully. Lu Yu, are you saying that there's something wrong with the medicine? Unfortunately, the bowl has been washed clean. There's no evidence left. Why don't we check it the next time Zhongshu drinks his medicine? Chu Luiyue's red lips twitched as she shook her head. He won't do anything else. The previous poison is enough. We just need to wait for a few more days. Moreover, Ji Yurong should have sensed her vigilance and would not give her any chance to investigate. Mu Hongyu was dejected. Then what should we do? Liao Zhongshu forced a smile. Hongyu, don't think about it. Even if we find something now, it's probably too late. My body. Chu Luiyue shook her head in disagreement and smiled faintly. The more it's like this, the more we have to investigate. We can only hope to get the antidote if we find the person who poisoned you. Rest well first. Hongyu and I will go and investigate. After telling Liao Zhongshu to rest well, Chu Luiyue and Mu Hongyu left together. After they walked out of the door, Mu Hongyu looked back and worriedly asked, "What's wrong? Lu Yu, how are we going to investigate now? Without the antidote, Zhongshu won't last more than a few days. Will we be able to make it in time?" Chu Luiyue looked up in a certain direction. So the most important thing for us now is to stop the poison from spreading in his body. Mu Hongyu was stunned. Didn't you say that the antidote is difficult? It's difficult to completely detoxify the poison, but it's not that difficult to suppress the poison. Chu Luiwei walked forward as she spoke. Hey, where are you going? Chu Luiwei did not even turn around. Heavenly Medicine Pavilion. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 166. Mu Hongyu was shocked and hurriedly followed him. Heaven Medicine Pavilion? Isn't that where the academy stores all kinds of herbs? Are you going there now, to get the herbs? Chu Luiwei nodded. As the top academy in country Yaochen, Tianlu Academy should have a lot of good stuff stored there. Let's go take a look first. I'll go by myself. Go and check if Jiurong has been acting strangely recently or if he's been in contact with anyone. He's from an ordinary family, so he must have gotten the poison from someone else. Mu Hongyu was a little hesitant. It's not a problem for me to check, but Heaven Medicine Pavilion. That place is the celestial physician's territory. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to get the herbs there. Mu Hongyu's words were very tactful. In fact, for so many years, other than the celestial physician's people, it was difficult for others to even enter Heaven Medicine Pavilion. It was not that they did not allow people to enter, but the rules were too strict. The academy required that every student who wanted to get herbs from Heaven Medicine Pavilion had to make a declaration. They would only be allowed if they had a good reason. If it was the Celestial Physicians Group, they could easily get what they wanted as long as they said that they wanted to refine medicine. However, it was not so simple for Warriors and Celestial Physicians Group. Chu Luiwei raised his brows. Then, are Warriors and Shen Masters not qualified to go? That's not it. Actually, we only go there once in a while when we're injured. Mu Hongyu wrinkled her nose and was a little indignant. You don't know, but the Celestial Physicians Group is very arrogant. They're very hard to please. Chu Luiwei laughed. Celestial Physicians' requirements for talent were very high. Normal Celestial Physician did have this problem. Although I didn't cultivate there, I passed the Celestial Physician's exam. They won't make things difficult for me, right? Mu Hongyu pursed her lips. That might not be the case. Chu Luiwei patted her arm. Don't worry. The two of them split up. Chu Luiwei walked all the way to the back of the mountain. The Heaven Medicine Pavilion was built on the steepest mountain in Tianlu Academy. Most people would not come here for no reason. Therefore, the further up the mountain they went, the more deserted their surroundings became. After about the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Chu Luiwei finally saw the plaque that read, Heaven's Medicine Pavilion. The Heavenly Medicine Pavilion had a total of 5 floors. From the surface, it looked no different from an ordinary building. However, when Chu Luiwei approached it, he felt a formless fluctuation. Outside Heaven's Medicine Pavilion, an extremely powerful barrier had been set up. Outside the bronze gate stood 2 youths who seemed to be guarding it. Seeing Chu Luiwei, one of the youths asked coldly, Who are you? What is it? Chu Luiwei said, Student Chu Luiwei is here to collect the medicine. When they heard the name, Chu Luiwei, a look of astonishment flashed across their faces at the same time. This name reverberated like thunder in their ears. Some time ago, she passed all 3 examinations and was admitted to the academy. She was also a genius who took first place in the Warrior Division and second place in the Shen Master Division on the same day. Even though they did not care much about the Warrior Division and Shen Master Division, they had heard this name more than once. They did not expect that she would actually come here. You are Chu Luiwei? The youth who asked the question carefully sized up Chu Luiwei. Chu Luiwei nodded. You have to declare if you want to collect medicine from Heaven's Medicine Pavilion. Fill in the form first. As he spoke, the other youth waved his sleeve, and an item flew toward Chu Luiwei. Chu Luiwei raised his hand to catch the item and raised his eyebrows slightly. It was actually a wooden board and a writing brush. The wooden board was charred black and was only the size of a palm. It was also very rough to the touch. Write down the item you want on this, and we will send it in for verification. After the verification, the item will be given to you. The youth spoke indifferently as if he was doing business. Chu Luiyue flipped through the items in his hand and smiled. It seemed that Mu Hongyu was right. This group of people from Celestial Physician Division was truly extraordinarily arrogant and liked to make things difficult for others. This charred wooden board was not ordinary wood, but the trunk of a black sage vine. It was born like this, and its texture was hard. Even if an average person used a knife to carve, they might not be able to leave a mark on it. As for writing, this writing brush was clean without a speck of ink, so how could he write? Chu Luiyue waved the item in his hand. Just write it on this? The two youths nodded in unison, looking like they were watching a joke. Chu Luiyue did not say anything else. He picked up the brush and started writing on the wooden board. The brush did not leave a single mark on the black wooden board. Chu Luiyue paused and frowned slightly, seemingly a little surprised. The two youths looked at each other with ridicule in their eyes. Passing all 3 tests? Genius? Seems like this is all there is to it. Chu Luiyue looked up and smiled apologetically. I'm sorry, there seems to be a problem with this item. Can I trouble you to change it for me? Change it? Each person can only have one at a time. How can? One of the youths immediately refused, but before he could finish, the person beside him suddenly interrupted him. Since this is your first time here, we'll change it for you. With that, he moved his arm and threw a similar black wooden board to Chu Luiyue. Hey, Mo Liang, according to the rules, you can't. Cui Yao disagreed, but he saw Mo Liang give him a look. He was stunned for a moment before he realized that Mo Liang was actually trying to tease Chu Luiyue. She couldn't write one, and she still couldn't write another one. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? Ever since Chu Luiyue entered the academy, she had always been praised and in the limelight. Now was the perfect time to show her who was the boss. So many people praised her as a genius, but now it seemed that her brain wasn't that bright. The two exchanged a look of understanding and didn't say anything else. They just looked at Chu Luiyue, waiting for her to make a fool of herself. Sure enough, Chu Luiyue still couldn't leave a mark on it. She paused, seeming a little embarrassed and confused. Cui Yao and Mo Liang almost couldn't hold back their smiles. Chu Luiyue, it seems like there's a problem with this one too. How about we change it for you? Mo Liang said loudly, his tone mocking. Chu Luiyue looked at him and hesitated for a moment before saying, Then I'll have to trouble you. No trouble, no trouble. We're all from the same school, so it's only right that we help each other. Mo Liang held back his laughter and threw another wooden board to Chu Luiyue. This time, Chu Luiyue had a total of 3 boards in her hands. Hey, Chu Luiyue, if this still doesn't work, why don't we just give you a few more? Once you try 100 times, you'll definitely find a good one, right? Ha! Cui Yao didn't hide his ridicule and laughed out loud. Even a fool would be able to see the problem at this point. But unexpectedly, Chu Luiyue didn't show the slightest bit of embarrassment. Instead, she smiled and shook her head. No need, these are enough. With that, she walked to the side and plucked an apricot leaf. Seeing her actions, Cui Yao's laughter came to an abrupt stop. Mo Liang also felt a bit uneasy. Chu Luiyue used the apricot leaf to lightly wipe the blackboard, then started writing again. As the tip of the brush moved, a smooth white handwriting could be clearly seen. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from LoveNet. Chapter 167. Black sage vine and bitter apricot leaf were natural enemies. After wiping with bitter apricot leaf, a thin layer of coating would be left. Although the brush didn't have ink, it was made of snow wolf fur and could easily leave a mark on it. This method was simple, but those who didn't understand it would be stumped. The Cui and Yao duo wanted to use this to make things difficult for Chu Luiyue and embarrass her once. When Chu Luiyue said that the item was broken and asked to change it, the two were secretly pleased with themselves, thinking that they had succeeded in pranking her. But now, looking at the words on the blackboard, they couldn't laugh anymore. The smile on Cui Yao's face didn't fade, but his eyes were full of shock. He looked very stiff and strange. Mo Liang wasn't any better. He realized almost immediately, Chu Luiyue did it on purpose. She clearly knew what to do, but pretended not to know. They thought that they had tricked her, but in fact, they were under her control. When the two of them were laughing at her, she was probably very pleased with herself. Chu Luiwei wrote a line, then looked up at the two with a slight smile. So this thing isn't broken. Look, it's written quite smoothly. Cui Yao's expression was so ugly that it looked like he had swallowed a fly. Mo Liang pointed at Chu Luiwei, suppressing his anger. You already knew how to write this. You tricked us? Chu Luiwei blinked. That's right. She said it so casually that the two men didn't know what to say for a moment. This Chu Luiwei was too arrogant. How dare you? Chu Luiwei, do you know where you are? How dare you deceive us in public? Mo Liang cursed angrily. Chu Luiwei smiled faintly. Weren't you two the ones who made things difficult for me first? I just came to take some herbs and you tried to stop me. I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine. Is that too much? Chu Luiwei's words silenced the two. It was true that they were the first to make things difficult for her, but this was the usual practice. Other than the celestial physician, everyone who came here was always like this. Chu Luiwei was no exception. It was just that, he didn't expect that he would kick an iron plate. Not only did he fail to trick Chu Luiwei, but he also became a joke. Chu Luiwei lowered his head and continued writing. Senior brothers, please wait for a moment. I still have a lot of things to write. When Cui Yao and Cui Yao heard this, they immediately looked over, only to see Chu Luiwei's pen moving like a dragon. His movements were smooth, as if he didn't need to think at all. In a short period of time, the black wooden board was already half filled. However, Chu Luiwei had no intention of stopping. Only then did the two of them realize that things seemed to have spiraled out of control. Chu Luiwei had clearly come prepared. Most importantly, she had 3 black wooden boards in her hands. Mo Liang swallowed his saliva with difficulty. Chu Luiwei, each person can only fill in 1 piece of paper at a time. Hurry up and return the remaining 2 black sage vines. Chu Luiwei didn't even raise her head. Senior brother, you gave these to me. There's no reason why I can't write them, right? Cold sweat dripped down Mo Liang's forehead. I told you to stop writing. If the teacher knew that he had given Chu Luiwei 3 black sage vines at once, he would definitely punish him. At this moment, Chu Luiwei had already filled up the first black sage vine. She took the remaining 2 and smiled brightly at the two. I really can't refuse senior brother's kindness. With that, she continued to write on the 2 blank black sage vines. What a joke! To help Liao Zhongshu stop the poison, she needed a lot of herbs. Moreover, these 2 people were deliberately asking for trouble. Wouldn't it be inappropriate if she didn't repay them properly? Seeing Chu Luiwei's actions, Mo Liang's heart sank bit by bit. Finally, Chu Luiwei filled up the 3 black sage vines and handed them over. Senior brother, these are the herbs I need this time. Please send them in for the teacher's approval. Mo Liang's body stiffened. Seeing the smile on Chu Luiwei's face, Cui Yao was furious. She snatched the things away. Don't bite off more than you can chew. I'd like to see if the teacher will approve it for you. With that, she opened the door and walked in. Bang! The door closed again. Chu Luiwei shrugged, took a few steps back, and waited patiently. Mo Liang was jolted awake by the sound of the door closing and returned to his senses. Yes, Cui Yao was right. Chu Luiwei's writing wasn't the most important thing. As long as the teacher didn't approve it, it would be useless for her to write. She wasn't from the Celestial Physician's team and this was her first time here. If she only wanted 1 or 2 ordinary herbs, the teacher might give them to her. However, she had asked for too much from the start. This request would definitely not be approved. With that thought, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. The waiting time was always unbearable. Mo Liang glanced at the door from time to time, but Cui Yao didn't come out. His mood became more and more restless. That's not right. The teacher would definitely reject the request. Cui Yao should have come out by now after being in there for so long. Why hasn't she come out yet? He looked back at Chu Luiwei, only to see her standing there with her hands behind her back. She looked relaxed, as if she wasn't worried about her request at all. This made him even more annoyed and he frowned. After another 15 minutes, the door opened again and Cui Yao came out. Apart from the black sage vine that had already been erased, he didn't have any other herbs in his hand. He didn't pass. Mo Liang was delighted and quickly went up to him. What took you so long? Is the teacher busy? Is that why he rejected me so late? Cui Yao's expression was a little strange. She handed the black sage vine to Mo Liang and walked to her seat on the other side without saying anything. Mo Liang felt something was wrong. What's wrong? Cui Yao looked at Chu Liwei with a complicated expression and said with difficulty. Her list has passed. How is that possible? Mo Liang jumped to his feet in disbelief. Cui Yao rubbed her face. Teachers Warong said that there were too many things and some of them were placed in remote locations. He said that it would take some time to prepare them. Later, he will personally come out with the things. Love Network has a better reading experience. Chapter 168. Mo Liang thought he was hallucinating, but Cui Yao didn't seem to be joking. He was stunned for a while before he muttered, How is this possible? Cui Yao didn't want to say another word. How could he not be shocked? He wanted to ask the same question too. When he handed the list over, Mr. Zhuarong frowned and looked at it for a long time. However, as he looked at it, his brows relaxed and there was a hint of excitement in his eyes. Then, he put aside his work and went to prepare the herbs himself. Cui Yao thought of the smile on Mr. Zhuarong's face when he left and felt awkward. Mr. Zhuarong had always been strict. He wouldn't even approve the list of celestial physician students. However, Chu Liwei, she wrote 3 black sage vines. How could she do that? Thank you, senior. I'll wait here then. Chu Liwei said with a smile. Cui Yao looked away. Out of sight, out of mind. Mo Liang wanted to ask more, but seeing Cui Yao's expression, he could only swallow his words. There was an awkward silence in the room. After a few minutes, the door finally opened again. A slightly plump middle-aged man walked out quickly. When he saw Chu Liwei standing in front of the door, his eyes lit up. You're Chu Liwei? Chu Liwei nodded. Greetings, Mr. Zhuarong. Zhuarong laughed and waved a golden bag in his hand. There's no need to stand on ceremony. The things you want are all here. Chu Liwei was surprised. A Jianghu bag? You know what this is? Zhuarong didn't expect Chu Liwei to recognize the Jianghu bag. However, on second thought, she used to be the eldest daughter of the Chu family. It wasn't surprising that she knew about it. That's right. This is indeed a Jianghu bag. You asked for too many things, so I put them all here for convenience's sake. After you go back, take out all the things inside and return this Jianghu bag. Zhuarong's words were filled with pride, but Mo Liang and the other man beside him had already widened their eyes in shock. Zhuarong Laoshe is actually so generous to Chu Liwei? That Jianghu pouch was extremely precious. It was priceless. Even the teachers in the academy might not necessarily have one. Zhuarong Laoshe had only obtained this item because he had saved a person of high status a few years ago. At that time, he had attracted the envy of many people. Normally, it would be difficult for them to even take a look at it. However, Mr. Zhuarong had actually lent it to Chu Liwei. Chu Liwei was also very surprised. If it was in her previous life, a Jianghu bag wouldn't be considered a treasure to her. However, this was country Yao Qin, so there shouldn't be many people who had it. This was the first time Mr. Zhuarong had met her, and he was really taking care of her. The smile on her face deepened. She took a few steps forward and took the Jianghu bag with both hands. Thank you, Mr. Zhuarong. I will return it as soon as possible. How could he not take advantage of a free lunch? There's no rush. I have a few questions that I would like to ask you. You have to answer truthfully. Chu Liwei looked at his expression and already guessed what he wanted to ask. She nodded lightly. Teacher, please ask. I will definitely tell you everything I know. Zhuarong chuckled. All right, tell me first. Did you write that list yourself? Zhuarong's eyes suddenly lit up. Why did you write this list? Are you refining medicine for someone? Chu Liwei didn't hide it. Yes, this medicine is indeed for a friend. Is that person Liao Zhongshu? Zhuarong asked anxiously. Chu Liuyue's lips curled up slightly. That's right. It's him. I knew it. Zhuarong slapped his thigh. Previously, he had also gone to check on Liao Zhongshu's injuries. He secretly guessed that he might have been poisoned, but he didn't know what kind of poison it was. Even after discussing it with the other teachers, he still couldn't come to a conclusion. However, when he saw Chu Liuyue's list, he suddenly realized that there were a few medicinal herbs in the list that seemed to be compatible with Liao Zhongshu's current condition. This was also the reason why he had to personally prepare the medicinal herbs. He wanted to meet Chu Liuyue and get to the bottom of this matter. You know about his condition? Zhuarong asked vaguely. Chu Liuyue's eyes flickered slightly. I have seen a similar situation in the past. Zhuarong took a deep breath. So, this prescription, I came across this prescription by chance, and I don't remember it very clearly. Since I have no other choice, I decided to give it a try. As soon as Chu Liuyue said those words, disappointment surfaced on Zhuarong's face. I see. He thought that Chu Liuyue was the one who came up with this prescription. However, upon thinking about it, he found this idea ridiculous. There were so many teachers in the academy who couldn't do anything about it. How could a mere student like Chu Liuyue come up with such a prescription? Even the principal might not be able to do it. Zhuarong's agitation gradually calmed down, but he was still pleased that Chu Liuyue was able to help Liao Zhongshu. You can head back first. I will personally head over with the other teachers later. Chu Liuyue nodded. Then I will take my leave. With that, she turned around and left with the Cosmos sack. Zhuarong turned to the two behind him. In the future, if that lass wants to take medicinal herbs, just let her do so. Don't let what happened today happen a second time. Do you understand? Cui Yao and Emo Liang were confused by the conversation, but they could vaguely sense that Chu Liuyue did have some talent in the field of celestial physician. Furthermore, Zhuarong also thought highly of her, so they didn't dare to say anything else. They could only agree to it. Yes, I will definitely keep it in mind. When Zhuarong saw that the two of them still looked somewhat unwilling, he shook his head inwardly and said earnestly, he said in a serious tone, don't think that you are better than others just because you are a celestial physician. There will always be someone better than you. Emo Liang couldn't help but ask, Mr. Zhuarong, do you mean that Chu Liuyue is more talented than us? Zhuarong looked at the two with pity. She keeps a low profile, but you think she is useless. Don't say such childish things in the future. You will only make a fool of yourself. Do you understand? Digression, it's my birthday today. More chapters tonight. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Aiwa. Chapter 169. Chu Liuyue brought the herbs back to her residence. She took out all the herbs from the Jianghu bag and placed them in order. Just as she was about to return to Heaven's Medicine Pavilion to return the Jianghu bag to Zhuarong, she heard a commotion outside. She walked to the door, and just as she opened it, she saw Zhuarong bringing a few other teachers into the courtyard. When Zhuarong saw her, he immediately smiled. Lu Yu, these are the teachers who diagnosed Liao Zhongshu previously. I brought them here to see you. The few teachers silently sized up Chu Liuyue. Zhuarong said that Chu Liuyue knew what kind of poison Liao Zhongshu was afflicted with and had a way to temporarily suppress the poison in his body. They were shocked and curious, so they followed Zhuarong here. However, they were more suspicious in their hearts. Chu Liuyue didn't even go to the celestial physician's place to cultivate. Furthermore, during the entrance examination, didn't they say that her talent in this field was limited? Why did it sound like she was very formidable now? Chu Liuyue knew that they weren't here to see her, but to see how she was going to refine those herbs. She didn't point it out. She greeted the teachers and invited them into the house. Zhuarong teacher, you came at the right time. I just took out the herbs from the Jianghu bag and returned it to you. Chu Liuyue said as she returned the Jianghu bag to Zhuarong. Zhuarong accepted it with a smile. You're quite nimble. If there's such a thing in the future, don't hesitate to ask. Chu Liuyue pursed her lips and smiled. Then, Lu Yu will thank you in advance. The conversation between the two of them made the other teachers beside them secretly shocked. Zhuorong usually treasured this Jianghu bag so much that he wouldn't even let them borrow it. But now, he was very generous to Chu Luiyue. Those are the herbs you took from Heaven's Medicine Pavilion? Another teacher pointed at the jade boxes piled up in the room and asked, "Isn't this a little too much?" Chu Luiyue smiled faintly. "Teacher Xiansong, don't worry. Luyu knows how difficult it is to obtain these herbs. He will definitely make the best use of them and won't waste any of them." Xiansong looked at her suspiciously. "Make the best use of everything? How are you going to refine so many herbs by yourself? Aren't you exaggerating a little?" Chu Luiyue didn't try to defend himself. "Enough, Xiansong, you don't even know what kind of poison Liao Zhongshu was poisoned with. Why are you still talking so much?" Zhuorong's words made Xiansong swallow his remaining words. He snorted. "Good. Let's hear what you have to say first." The remaining few immediately pricked up their ears. Chu Luiyue was slightly moved. "Actually, I don't know much about this poison. I've only seen it by chance." Of course, she couldn't completely reveal her background, so she simply mentioned a few words. Her words were very vague. Zhuorong and the others wanted to ask more, but they realized that Chu Luiyue didn't seem to know everything either. In the end, they could only give up. "So you're saying that you don't have complete confidence in this recipe? Aren't you treating Liao Zhongshu's life like a game? What if something happens?" Xiansong was silent for a while before he spoke with a frown. "What else can happen? Others might not know, but don't you know Liao Zhongshu's current situation? If we delay for a few more days, he'll be dead by now. What's there to talk about?" Zhuorong impatiently interrupted Xiansong and waved his hand at Chu Luiyue. "This guy is stubborn and inflexible. Luyu, don't worry about him. Just do whatever you want." Xiansong resentfully shut his mouth. Chu Luiyue sighed softly in her heart. She originally wanted to quietly refine the medicine for Liao Zhongshu, but she didn't expect Zhuorong to be so interested in this matter. From the looks of it, they clearly wanted to see how she would refine the medicine. Chu Luiyue decided to ignore them. She walked over to take out the herbs and began to prepare them one by one. The Imperial Palace, the Imperial Study. Rong Xiu stood quietly outside the door, wearing a large black cloak. He was tall and slender, and just by standing there, he seemed to make the surrounding scenery lose its color. Many palace maids looked at him from afar, their eyes full of admiration. "Your Highness Prince Li is really good-looking. I don't think there's anyone in the imperial capital who can compare to him just from his elegant bearing alone." Isn't that so? When His Highness Prince Li appeared at the Crown Prince's birthday banquet, he won the hearts of countless women. It's a pity that His Highness Prince Li's health isn't good and he doesn't come to the palace often. It's hard to even meet him. I wonder which noble lady will have the honor of marrying His Highness Prince Li in the future. Sigh, it's a pity that His Highness Prince Li is weak and doesn't have any real power. He's just an idle prince and can't be considered the best. So what? It's already a lifetime of good fortune to be able to see that face every day. Who dares to ask for more? His Highness Prince Li used to be very powerful, but now... Shoo! You dare to say that? Do you want to die? Bang! The sound of something breaking suddenly came from the study. The palace servants hiding in the dark were startled and immediately scattered like birds and beasts. Rong Xiu looked up, and one couldn't see any emotions in his deep eyes. Someone hurriedly retreated from the imperial study. "Your Majesty, please calm down. Your Majesty, please calm down. I'll leave now." This battered and exhausted person was the first elder of the Chu family, Chu Shao. He wiped the cold sweat off his head. His entire body was covered in dust. He originally came to see His Majesty today to plead for the Crown Prince, but he didn't expect that the moment he mentioned the Crown Prince, His Majesty would fly into a rage and chase him out. Only then did he realize that the Crown Prince had really angered His Majesty this time. He was the one who was truly stupid to come here so rashly. Chu Shao heaved a heavy sigh. Too many things had happened during this period of time. His mind was actually starting to become muddled. Turning to any doctor in a desperate situation had instead put himself and the crown prince in even more danger. Eunuch Min also walked out and glanced at Chu Xiao. Lord Chu Xiao, please don't come to the palace during this period of time. Chu Xiao wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he could only agree. Thank you, Eunuch Min. Eunuch Min despised him in his heart. Chu Xiao was old and muddle-headed. Chu Ning was now highly favored by the emperor and was already somewhat dissatisfied with the Chu family. Yet, he chose to enter the palace at this time to plead for the crown prince. Was he not afraid of dragging the entire Chu family down with him? Eunuch Min couldn't be bothered with him. He looked up at Rong Xiu, who was standing not far away. His face immediately filled with an eager smile as he took small steps forward. Your Highness Princely, you're finally here. His Majesty has been missing you for the past few days. Rong Xiu's lips curled into a lazy smile as he said indifferently, my health hasn't been very good lately. I haven't been feeling well for the past few days. Now that I've recovered a little, I immediately came to visit Imperial Father. Please come in. His Majesty was still angry. If it were an ordinary person, Eunuch Min wouldn't dare to invite them in, but Prince Li was different. When Chu Xiao heard this, he couldn't help but look up at Prince Li, who rarely showed himself. Rong Xiu nonchalantly glanced at him, nodded, and walked toward the imperial study. Chu Xiao couldn't help but look over, but Eunuch Min quickly urged him to leave. The moment Rong Xiu entered the room, he saw shattered teacups scattered all over the floor. Emperor Jiawen's face was still filled with anger. Rong Xiu lightly smiled. Father, what made you so angry? It's not worth mentioning. When Emperor Jiawen saw him, his expression became much gentler. On the other hand, have you been feeling better recently? Thank you for your concern, Father. I'm already much better, and I can already go out and walk around these few days. Emperor Jiawen heaved a sigh of relief, but he still knitted his brows. You can't keep being like this. When there's a chance, I'll definitely find a stronger celestial physician to take a look at you. Rong Xiu smiled and looked nonchalant. I was born like this and I've already gotten used to it. Father, you don't have to be too worried. How can I not be worried? You're me. You didn't have a mother to take care of you when you were young. Then, you left the imperial city at a young age and went to Mingyue Tianshan alone. I owe you a lot for so many years. Rong Xiu looked down. Father, you're being too serious. Your son understands your intentions. Emperor Jiawen looked at him for a while before shaking his head and sighing. You've always been the most sensible, unlike those useless ones. Forget it. You don't like these things, so I won't talk to you anymore. I called you here today to ask you something. You've been back in the imperial city for quite some time. Have you taken a liking to any noble lady? Rong Xiu was dazed. Imperial Father, what are you? Emperor Jiawen laughed out loud. You're already a prince now, but you don't even have anyone to serve you. When you start a family, you naturally have to start a family before you start a career. I've already asked my subordinates to prepare quite a number of portraits of noble ladies of suitable age. You can choose from them and choose a date to get married. Digression. Cough. I'll add one more chapter today and pick another day. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from iYuan. Chapter 170. Rong Xiu was silent for a moment. He didn't expect that his father had called him here for this matter. Father, my brothers haven't gotten married yet, so it seems a little too early for me to think about this, Emperor Jiawen sneered. Those royal brothers of yours, none of them make me feel at ease. Let's not talk about them. I haven't been able to take care of you for so many years, so I naturally have to help you choose a suitable marriage. Emperor Jiawen raised his chin. I know that you haven't been back for long, and you rarely go out. Hence, you're not familiar with the ladies in the imperial city. The portraits are all there. You can take a look at them yourself. If you find one that you like, just tell me. Emperor Jiawen waved his hands and looked as if he would immediately grant the marriage to whoever Rong Xiu chose. This scene made Rong Xiu unsure whether to laugh or cry. He didn't even look at the portraits as he directly said, Father, I've always been weak. Imperial father, this son has been frail and sickly since young. If I were to marry a wife, I would only be causing trouble for other people. Let's put this matter aside for now. What the hell are you talking about? Whoever marries you, that's her fortune. Who dares to say that you're a burden? Just pick one. When Emperor Zhou heard Rong Xiu say this, his face immediately darkened. Speaking of which, Rong Xiu was the prince who had been by his side for the shortest amount of time. Logically speaking, the relationship between the father and son wasn't very deep. However, nobody knew that he loved this child the most in his heart. The Xi family's fourth young lady is quite talented, but it's a pity that she's a concubine, so she's not good enough for you. However, if you like her, you can marry her and make her your consort first. The Liu family comes from a business family, and the ladies in the family all have some power, so I don't like them. The Yang family's big missy might be mediocre, but her looks and temper are top-notch. She's worthy of being called gentle and virtuous. You can take a look at her first. Oh right, there's also Count Jinbei's daughter. Emperor Zhou almost listed all the most outstanding ladies in the imperial city. To an ordinary person, these ladies all came from noble backgrounds, and they were all excellent. But in Emperor Zhou's eyes, they all had their flaws. However, he could not be blamed for this. Just Rong Xiu's looks alone were enough to make most of the girls pale in comparison. Moreover, he was one of the only two princes with a title. Once he got married, he would be endlessly favored. Emperor Zhou also raised his eyebrows, and it was understandable that his standards were higher. As for Rong Xiu's body, in his opinion, it was not a big problem at all. When Rong Xiu saw Emperor Zhou's excited look, he raised his brows, clenched his fist, and coughed twice. Emperor Zhou paused and looked at him worriedly. Why are you coughing again? Is your body still not fully recovered? Rong Xiu shook his head. His lips were slightly pale as he smiled. Your son is fine. Imperial father, you don't have to worry, cough cough. Seeing him like this, Emperor Zhou didn't have the mood to continue the topic. Forget it. Since you're not willing, let's not talk about it today. However, you still have to take this matter to heart. If you have time, come out more often and see if there's anyone you like. I can't directly decide for you, so everything depends on you. Rong Xiu slightly bowed. Thank you for your understanding, Imperial Father. Emperor Zhou shook his head and sighed. I wonder what kind of woman you like. What kind of woman I like? A beautiful face flashed across Rong Xiu's mind. Even though she was a little immature, she had already started to show her beauty. Especially that pair of eyes, they were as bright and moving as the starry night. His gaze moved slightly, and he hid the emotions in his eyes. Your son still has a request. Oh? After you came back to the imperial city, you've been resting in your residence. This is the first time you've taken the initiative to make a request to me. How rare. Tell me about it. Rong Xiu was silent for a moment. I've been away for many years and didn't have the chance to pay respects to my mother. Now that I'm back, I want to fulfill my duty as a son. Upon hearing Rong Xiu mention his mother, Emperor Zhou was dazed. He then leaned against the chair, sighed, and closed his eyes. She did leave for many years. At this moment, Emperor Zhou seemed to have aged a lot, and his tone was filled with unconcealable regret and reminiscence. It's good that you still miss your mother. That's good, but you should know that your mother's mausoleum isn't in the Imperial Mausoleum. Rong Xiu looked calm. I know. I remember that you once stayed in Tianlu Academy for a very long time. That's right. Back then, she didn't want to stay in the palace, so she went to Tianlu Academy. Your mother was close to Tianlu Academy's director back then, and she was talented and capable. Hence, she became half a teacher in the academy. She stayed there for 2 years until she passed away, and she never came back. Emperor Zhou spoke slowly as if he were telling a story that had nothing to do with him. However, his helpless and yearning expression, as well as his slightly trembling hands, clearly indicated that his heart was not as calm as it seemed. Even though many years had passed, that person and those things were still deeply engraved in his heart, and they couldn't be erased. Rong Xiu quietly glanced at him, and his gaze was calm without any ripples. It was as if he didn't care about Emperor Jiawen's nostalgic look. However, he quickly hid his nonchalant expression. So, I want to go to Tianlu Academy to see where my mother used to stay. Can you allow me to do so? Emperor Jiawen opened his eyes. The young man in front of him had unknowingly become much taller. He stood there with his back straight, and the sunlight shone on his jade-like face clearly. They were very similar to each other, especially the faint, distant, and noble aura between their eyebrows. It was as if they were carved from the same mold. Hence, every time he saw this face, he would be extra patient and dote on it. Of course, I won't disagree. However, you have to ask for the director's opinion on this matter. Normal people can't enter Tianlu Academy, but your mother's status is different. Perhaps the director will be extra lenient on you. Rong Xiu's thin lips curved up slightly. I've already written a letter to ask about the director, and he has already agreed. Emperor Jiawen was taken aback. Then, since that's the case, you can just go there directly. Love Network provided a better reading experience for mobile users. Zhuorong looked at Chu Luiyue in confusion. Could it be that he was wrong? Chu Luiyue's talent was actually not as outstanding as he had expected? But if that was the case, how did she directly resolve the difficulties Cui Yao and Cui Yao had placed her in? Zhuorong stared at Chu Luiyue and pondered for a long time. A vague idea appeared in his mind. Could it be that Chu Luiyue was deliberately hiding her talent? But many people dreamed of having the talent of a celestial physician. With such potential, anyone would be eager to show it to others. Only Chu Luiyue was a little strange. Zhuorong thought for a while. He didn't want to deliberately expose it, so he found an excuse and left. In the end, only Chu Luiyue was left in the room. She exhaled softly. She didn't want these people to notice anything, so she deliberately pretended that she was not good at anything. It didn't matter if she was despised by them. The most important thing was to refine the medicine well. Zhuorong seemed to have noticed something, but he didn't pursue the matter. Chu Luiyue closed the door and windows properly before focusing her attention on the pile of herbs. Now, there wasn't much time left. Jianghu asked around in the school and confirmed that Gu Mingfeng hadn't come to school for the past 2 days. He specially asked a teacher for leave and went out to look for Gu Mingfeng. Of course, he wouldn't be able to find him so quickly by himself. Fortunately, Jianghu had a group of friends in the imperial capital. As long as he shouted, someone would immediately help him. After running around for half a day, he finally found Gu Mingfeng in a dilapidated house in the evening. But when he saw Gu Mingfeng, Jianghu was shocked. His face and body were covered in injuries. What happened to you? Who hit you? Jianghu was furious. We'll take revenge for you. Gu Mingfeng dodged as if he didn't want others to see him in such a sorry state. However, when he heard Jianghu's words, he paused. In the end, he calmly revealed his injury. The corners of his mouth twitched. Thank you. But you're not his match, so forget it. Jianghu glared at him. What do you mean forget it? Even if I'm not his match, there's still Lu Yu and Hong Yu. They asked me to look for you. If they see you like this, they won't let it go so easily. Gu Mingfeng's heart skipped a beat. They asked you to come? You should know that Lu Yu is back safely. We plan to celebrate at Phoenix Restaurant today, but you and Zhongshu can't go. Lu Yu and Hong Yu went to look after Zhongshu, and they asked me to come out and find you. Gu Mingfeng's throat seemed to be blocked by something. It took him a while to find his voice. It's the Gu family. Jianghu's voice suddenly rose. The Gu family? Why did they do this to you? Didn't you already? Gu Mingfeng didn't say anything. Because he was chased out of the Gu family, many people came to find trouble with him. Over the years, many people in the Gu family didn't like him. If they could make him suffer now, it would be a great achievement for Gu Yunfei. Who wouldn't do it? He wanted to return to school after his injuries recovered, but he didn't expect Jianghu to come looking for him. Jianghu patted him on the shoulder and said seriously, Don't worry. Don't worry, we are friends who have gone through life and death together. We definitely won't ignore you. Let's go back first. Lu Yu and Hong Yu are still waiting for us. Gu Mingfeng didn't know what he was feeling. After hesitating for a long time, he finally nodded. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 172. After Zhuo Rong and the rest left, Chu Liyue's actions became much faster. She stretched out her hand and with a thought, a red flame suddenly appeared in her fair palm. That small cluster of flame was as agile as a spirit. Although it was weak, it was filled with vitality. Chu Liyue's eyes widened slightly. This was the first time she summoned her own force after officially becoming a rank 1 warrior. If it was a normal rank 1 warrior, it would be impossible to draw the force out of their body at this stage. Only those who had broken through to rank 4 could do it. But a celestial physician was different. A celestial physician used force to refine medicine. Chu Liyue was only a rank 1 warrior now, so the force she could summon was just a small cluster. Although it was not enough to refine medicine, it was much better than using the big pot to refine medicine. Chu Liyue found a square cauldron for refining medicine and placed her hand on the cauldron's handle, injecting the flame into it. This square cauldron for refining medicine was given by Second Master Yen. When Chu Liyue was checking the gift, she took a fancy to it and thought that she was lacking one, so she brought it to the academy. What? That small spark fell into the square cauldron and instantly burned fiercely. Chu Liyue's eyes lit up. This square cauldron was really good stuff. Previously, she only felt that the material of this square cauldron was good, but she didn't expect the effect to be so unexpected. Using this square cauldron to refine medicine could save her a lot of energy. With such a convenient thing, Chu Liyue heaved a sigh of relief and prepared to put the herbs in one by one. When the second white elephant shell fell into it, it was immediately engulfed by the red flame. In a blink of an eye, it turned into a handful of powder. Chu Liyue was stunned for a moment. A celestial physician used force to refine medicine and her speed was naturally incomparable to ordinary people, but wasn't this too fast? Did her force have such a strong effect on herbs? Chu Liyue suddenly realized something. She pursed her lips and tried to put in the second herb. It was 100-year-old heaven-guard ginseng. It was as long as a person's forearm, and several vines were tightly wrapped around it. It was cold to the touch, and its texture was hard. The most useful part of this heaven-guard ginseng was the vine in the middle. However, if one wanted to fully utilize its medicinal properties, they would have to squeeze out its juice, which would take a lot of effort. Chu Liyue carefully controlled the flame, and the tongue of the flame gently licked the heaven-guard ginseng. The tendrils on the outside quickly withered, and a drop of yellowish-brown medicinal juice appeared in the square cauldron. Chu Liyue stared blankly, not daring to believe it for a moment. This refining speed was almost comparable to a third-grade celestial physician. Generally speaking, the stronger a celestial physician was, the faster the efficiency of refining medicine would be. She was prepared to fight a long battle, but she never thought that her speed would be so fast. Most importantly, the concoction that was refined was extremely clear and clean, extremely pure. In this way, it would save her a lot of effort and the effect of the medicine would be even better. Chu Liyue stared at it for a while, still feeling a little incredulous. In her previous life, she had a rare Tianjing Yuan meridian. Whether it was as a martial artist, a Xian master, or a celestial physician, she had all the advantages. The force nourished by the Tianjing Yuan meridian was naturally incomparable to ordinary people in terms of refining medicine. But now, she clearly only had a Daijing Yuan meridian, and it was not much worse than her previous Tianjing Yuan meridian. There was definitely a problem. Chu Liyue had seen a celestial physician with a Daijing Yuan meridian before. Even if they had cultivated for many years, they were naturally limited by force and could not catch up to the Tianjing Yuan meridian. But now, Chu Liyue almost wanted to check again if she had a Daijing Yuan meridian. She took a deep breath and calmed herself down. It was impossible for her to remember something like this wrongly. This body, after reconstructing the Yuan meridian, was indeed a Daijing Yuan meridian. But the force nourished by this Yuan meridian, was indeed comparable to the Tianjin Yuan meridian. Chu Liyue's heart beat wildly. Her Yuan meridian would perhaps become her greatest reliance. Chu Liyue closed her eyes and suppressed the surging emotions in her heart. When she opened her eyes again, the shock and suspicion in her eyes had all faded away, and she had regained her usual calmness. But no one knew what kind of storm the surging undercurrent under the calmness would stir up in the future. Chu Liyue began to methodically put in the remaining medicinal herbs. Time passed by slowly. When night fell, the various medicinal herbs that had been piled up like a small mountain in the room had all been processed by Chu Liyue. Flames burned in the square cauldron, and the various medicinal herbs merged into a ball of dark green liquid that quietly floated in the air. A strong medicinal fragrance permeated the air. "Liyu, I'm back." Mu Hongyu's voice came from outside the door. Chu Liyue poured another ball of flames into the square cauldron before walking over to open the door. "Liyu, your guess is so accurate. That Ji Yurong actually. What's that smell? It's so fragrant." Mu Hongyu's face was filled with excitement, but before she could finish her sentence, her attention was attracted by the medicinal fragrance. She looked over and saw that there was a square cauldron in the middle of the room, and there was a red flame burning in it. Her eyes widened in shock. "Damn! Liyu, you're actually refining medicine?" Chu Liyue didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he pulled her into the room, closed the door, and said, "Didn't I tell you that I was going to Heaven Medicine Pavilion? You didn't say that you could actually refine medicine like this." Mu Hongyu walked over in amazement. "Such a fierce flame. Didn't you say that you were only a stage 1 warrior? How did you have such an abundant amount of force to refine medicine?" Although she wasn't a celestial physician, she knew that celestial physicians would use force to transform into flames when refining medicine. She knew that she didn't have this ability, so she couldn't be a celestial physician. However, Chu Liyue, this wasn't something that a stage 1 warrior could do. Seeing Mu Hongyu like this, Chu Liyue could only secretly rejoice that she came back late and didn't see the medicinal herbs piled up in the room. Otherwise, she would probably tear the roof off the house. "Didn't you say that you found something just now? How's that Jiurong?" Chu Liyue changed the topic without batting an eyelid. Mu Hongyu then returned to her senses and hurriedly said, Yes. Let me tell you, that Jiurong is indeed problematic. I originally planned to follow him today to see if there was anything strange about him, but he was very cautious. He cultivated diligently the whole day and didn't do anything out of the ordinary. After that, I asked some people in the academy who were closer to him, and guess what? He likes Chu Xianmin. Hearing this name, Chu Liyue raised her eyebrows. Although he never told anyone, I heard that he had a hangover on the day Chu Xianmin married the crown prince. This Ji Yurong is usually an especially honest and introverted person and has always been well behaved. Why did he do such a thing on that day? Chu Liyue glanced at the medicine in the square cauldron and asked, What's the relationship between the two of them? I find this very strange too. There's almost no interaction between the two of them. You know that Chu Xianmin and I don't like each other, but I've never seen Ji Yurong speak up for her. If I didn't find out about his hangover, I really wouldn't have known that he was interested in Chu Xianmin. Chapter 173. In the past, Chu Xianmin was pretty, had a noble background, and was talented. She was the most famous lady in the imperial city. It was not surprising that Ji Yurong liked her. However, whether this incident had anything to do with Chu Xianmin still needed to be investigated. Don't act rashly. Let's secretly investigate Chu Xianmin first. Mu Hongyu threw herself into a chair at the side and rested her chin on one hand. Sigh, this is a little difficult. You know that Chu Xianmin doesn't live in the academy now. After she married into the crown prince mansion, she went back every day. Under such circumstances, it will take a lot of effort to investigate her. The crown prince mansion was heavily guarded. Even if she had the ability, she would not be able to barge in. Chu Liyue thought for a while. There's no hurry. Many people know that I went to the heavenly pharmacy to get medicine today. In addition, Misters were wrong and the rest came here this afternoon. News will definitely spread. The person who poisoned me must be paying attention to the Academy's movements. He definitely knows about this. I was wondering. Mu Hongyu clapped her hands and said excitedly, "When I came back today, I heard that you were back. When I came back today, I heard a lot of people talking about you. They even mentioned were wrong Lauscher. So, you did it on purpose. Are you trying to lure the snake out of its hole?" A dark light flashed across Chu Liuyue's eyes. The enemy is in the dark, and we are in the light. The disparity is huge. Since this is the case, why don't we take the initiative to attack? If the other party knows about this, they will definitely not sit back and do nothing. As long as they make a move, we will be able to find the culprit. Mu Hongyu looked at Chu Liyue from head to toe in surprise. "Tisk, Liyue, it's no wonder you can teach those people from the Chu family a lesson. You're such an old schemer. Whoever goes up against you is really unlucky." Chu Liyue's eyes twitched. Mu Hongyu, do you know how to talk? I won't attack unless I'm attacked. She would not take the initiative to provoke anyone, but if anyone wanted to bully her, she would not be polite. Mu Hongyu nodded frantically in agreement, but then curled her lips. Let me tell you. That Chu Xianmin is very difficult to deal with. Although you've already taught her a lesson last time, she hasn't been obedient for long and she's already causing trouble again. You don't know this, but when everyone thought that you were doing something, Chu Xianmin actually ran to the teacher and told him that she wanted to replace your status as the top warrior and visit the Tianling dynasty's envoy. Previously, she had been immersed in grief, so she didn't know what had happened in the academy. Today, she went out to ask around and found out. However, Chu Liyue wasn't angry. Instead, he laughed. Mu Hongyu asked in disbelief. "You're not angry? That's the kind of person she is. I'd be surprised if she didn't do that." Chu Xinmin's current situation was so difficult. Of course, she had to think of a way to stand out. Even if this path didn't work, she would find another way. Mu Hongyu suddenly thought of something. She clasped her hands together and looked at Chu Liyue pleadingly. "That's true. Liu, when you meet the Tianling dynasty's envoy, can you do me a favor?" "What's the matter?" Mu Hongyu's face was tainted with a tinge of worry. "My father sent a letter a few days ago saying that my mother's health hasn't been good recently. He heard that the Tianling dynasty's envoy is coming, so he wants me to beg them to see if they have a way to cure my mother. But where would I get the chance now? So, can you please?" Chu Liyue paused in his actions. "You seem to admire the Tianling dynasty a lot, right? They're just an envoy. Don't you think it's a little unrealistic to pin all your hopes on them?" Mu Hongyu widened her eyes. "Liu, that's the Tianling dynasty. It's a legendary existence. If even they can't do anything, then we can't do anything. Sai, do you know the Tianling dynasty's heavenly princess?" Chu Liyue suddenly felt a little awkward. Seeing her expression, Mu Hongyu thought that she had never heard of her before, so she kindly added, "Sai, actually, it's normal that you don't know. The Tianling dynasty has always been very mysterious. I've only heard a little about it from my father. Their heavenly princess is rumored to have a Tianjing Yuan meridian. She was born to be a top genius. Moreover, she was already a 5th-grade celestial physician when she was 10 years old. You have to know that there have only been a handful of celestial physicians in country Yaochen for so many years. And those who have reached 5th grade are even rarer. Think about it, she's so amazing." Chu Liyue coughed and touched her nose. "Sai, we can't be envious of this kind of person, but there's no need to be envious. That heavenly princess was good at everything, but in the end, didn't she die from qi deviation? At that time, she wasn't even 20 years old." Mu Hongyu sighed. Chu Liyue was suddenly stunned. Qi deviation? Qi deviation? She suppressed the surging emotions in her heart and asked, "Logically speaking, such a genius cultivation path should have been very smooth. Qi deviation?" Mu Hongyu shrugged. "How can this be confirmed? Anyway, that's what the rumors say. Otherwise, why would she die so suddenly? I heard that her fiancé was heartbroken." Chu Liyue's heart suddenly thumped violently. Her mind was blank. She only stiffened and asked, "That's what the rumors say?" "Yes. But I don't know anything more than that. Who knows what happened thousands of miles away?" "Sigh, Lu Yu, you don't look too good. What's wrong?" Chu Liyue came back to her senses and shook her head. "I'm fine. It's just that I've been refining medicine for too long and I'm a little tired." Mu Hongyu was a little worried. "Then can you still hold on?" "I'll stay here with you." Chu Liyue shook her head. "No need. Go back and rest today. You have to continue investigating Ji Yurong tomorrow." Then, Mu Hongyu was also exhausted from running around all day. After hearing Chu Liyue's words, she got up and left. When her figure disappeared outside the door, Chu Liyue finally slowly let go of her hand. Because she used too much strength, her palm was already stained with blood. Just now, she almost couldn't control the crazy burning anger in her heart. Dying from chi deviation? Heartbroken? Those people are really capable of doing anything. She will pay them back 100 times. Digression. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 174. Night, Prince Li's mansion, study room. Rong Xiu stood in front of the bookshelf with his hands behind his back. He was carefully selecting books. Move all the books on the top 2 floors. Also, bring along the few biographies that this prince often reads. Yu Mo responded and carefully put away the books one by one. Yan Qing looked at his master hesitantly. "Master, are you really going to stay at Tianlu Academy?" Rong Xiu glanced at him. "But, is there a problem?" "I don't dare. It's just that, there are too many people at Tianlu Academy. I'm afraid it won't be as convenient as before." Yan Qing did not expect his master to decide to go to Tianlu Academy after going to the palace. He was really caught off guard. Yu Mo secretly gave him a look. "Are you stupid? Others might not know why master is going to Tianlu Academy, but you should know better." Yan Qing felt a headache coming on. Ever since his master came back from Wanling Mountain a few days ago covered in blood and sat in the study room for an entire night, he knew his master would take action. However, he did not expect his master to take such drastic measures. Yu Mo shook his head. How could they stop their master from doing anything he wanted? Yan Qing sighed heavily in his heart. "What do you want to say?" "Just say it," Rong Xiu suddenly said. Yan Qing knew he could not hide his thoughts from his master, so he spoke bluntly. "Master, if you're worried about Miss Lu Yu, you can send more people to protect her secretly. Why do you have to do it yourself? The crown prince is under house arrest now, and the third prince is still in the imperial capital and has not returned to the Northwest Army. This is a critical time. It's really dangerous for you to suddenly make such a big move." Rong Xiu looked at him quietly. "Anything else?" Yan Qing hesitated and shook his head. He was mainly worried about his master's safety. Although he knew his master was powerful, it was not his master's style to put himself in danger. "Since you're done, help Yu Mo pack." "Mistress." Yan Qing still wanted to fight for it, but when she saw Rong Xiu's expression, she knew it was useless to say anything, so she had to agree. "Yes." Rong Xiu knocked on the table. "She went to Heaven's Medicine Pavilion today? Why is there no movement from Yengu?" Yu Mo hurriedly said, "Master, Yengu said that he did not receive any news from Miss Lu Yu. Thinking about it, it must be Miss Lu Yu who went to the Heaven's Medicine Pavilion." Rong Xiu replied with a faint "Do you know what she wants those herbs for?" The two of them looked at each other. "I'm not too sure." Rong Xiu raised his eyebrows slightly. Previously, the Precious Treasure Pavilion had sent many gifts, which included many precious medicinal herbs. Chu Liyue knew that if she wanted it, it would be more convenient for her to go to Zhenbao. But she had purposely gone to the Heaven's Medicine Pavilion. "You really don't know?" Yu Mo coughed. As expected, he could not hide it from his master. But this matter, he gritted his teeth and braced himself to say, "I heard that Miss Lu Yu went to the Heaven's Medicine Pavilion to help a classmate recuperate." Rong Xiu leaned against the chair and crossed his fingers. His posture was lazy, but there was an indescribable sense of oppression. What kind of classmate? Umo closed his eyes and faced death calmly. His name is Liao Zhongshu. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire room fell silent. Rong Xiu's thin lips curved slightly. So it's a male classmate. The next morning, Chu Liwei finally finished brewing the medicine. She placed it in a sealed jade box and planned to send it to Liao Zhongshu. But just as she reached the door, she saw Mu Hongyu running over excitedly. Lu, big news. Chu Liwei could not help but laugh. What kind of big news can make you so excited? Could it be that you have found some evidence? Mu Hongyu's face fell. No, it's not that easy. But she quickly cheered up again, and her eyes lit up. Did you know? Prince Li came to Tianlu Academy today. Chu Liuyue's heart skipped a beat. Why is he here? Did he pass the exam and get in? Mu Hongyu did not notice that Chu Liuyue sounded familiar when she mentioned Prince Li. She thought that Chu Liuyue was just curious, so she chuckled. How is that possible? Prince Li is weak and sickly. Why would he take the exam? I heard that he came here to pay respects to his mother, Consort Wan. Consort Wan was a teacher at Tianlu Academy for a period of time, and she was not buried in the imperial mausoleum. That's why Prince Li came here. Chu Liuyue was a little surprised. Is this inappropriate? What's inappropriate about it? The dean and his Majesty must have agreed to this. That's why Prince Li came. You don't know, but Consort Wan only doted on the imperial harem back then. Now that Prince Li wants to remember her, His Majesty naturally agreed. The dean and Consort Wan seemed to have a good relationship back then. At this moment, Old Sun had already brought Prince Li into the academy. If not for the fact that we don't dare to openly join in the fun, we would have gone to take a look. Chu Liuyue's eyebrows twitched. What's there to see? How is it not nice? It's rumored in the imperial city that Prince Li was born with first-class looks. Who knew how many women wanted to take a look at it? Hey, Liu, I remember that you and Prince Li both went to the Crown Prince's birthday banquet. You should have seen him, right? Quick, tell me. Is he as gentle as jade and unparalleled in the world as the rumors say? Chu Liuyue suddenly had the urge to facepalm. However, a devilish face appeared in her mind. She coughed. Just like that. Mu Hongyu was not satisfied with this answer. She clicked her tongue. I heard that Prince Li stepped forward to help you that day when Fourth Princess made things difficult for you. Don't tell me, you didn't have any thoughts? Chu Liuyue immediately said, How is that possible? Before she finished speaking, she saw a familiar tall figure out of the corner of her eye. Her words were suddenly stuck in her throat. Mu Hongyu asked curiously, Really? Of course it's true. Suddenly, a low and cold voice came from behind her. The tone was gentle, but there was a hint of laziness in it, like the spring water disturbed by the wind. After all, in Miss Liuyue's eyes, I'm just like that. Isn't that right, Ms. Liuyue? Mu Hongyu couldn't help but rub her arms. Liu, why do I suddenly feel a little cold? Chu Liuyue coughed. Let's go. The medicine will turn cold if we stay any longer. The two quickly arrived at Liao Zhongshu's residence. Mu Hongyu stepped forward and was just about to knock when the door opened. Ji Yurong was standing inside. He had his usual gentle and harmless smile on his face. Zhongshu said that you would come today, so I've been waiting for you. Come in. Chu Liuyue sized him up. Compared to the day before, he looked much more natural, as if there was nothing wrong with him. But this only proved that there was something wrong with him. Yesterday, Mu Hongyu secretly investigated him and didn't completely seal off the news. If he asked around, he would definitely find out. But today, he didn't seem to be acting strangely. He was clearly trying to hide something. Mu Hongyu said with a faint smile. Oh, isn't this embarrassing? It must have been hard on you to take care of him these few days, right? We're just here to see him. Just go about your business. Ji Yurong's expression froze for a moment, but it quickly returned to normal. We're all friends and we live together. This is what I should do. Then, you can go up first. I'll make tea for you later. I didn't manage to serve you well when you came yesterday. You're so free today? Mu Hongyu crossed her arms. I remember that you originally had classes today, right? A hint of panic flashed across Ji Yurong's eyes. Oh, I took leave today. I used up my cultivation time in Jiyo Tower, and I was planning to do some missions today. Mu Hongyu didn't comment. This is important. We won't hold you up. She was clearly asking him to leave. Ji Yurong was a little hesitant. Actually, it's not that urgent. I'm afraid that Jianghu will. The two of us are here. Are you worried that we won't be able to take care of him? Oh no. Then I'll take my leave first. Please go ahead. Ji Yurong knew that continuing would only make things worse. He could only leave unwillingly. After his figure disappeared, Mu Hongyu pursed her lips. Can't you think of something else if you want to spy on us? Chu Luiwei didn't say anything. He turned around and went upstairs. Liao Zhongshu's complexion looked worse than the day before, and he was even more dispirited. Mu Hongyu was shocked. Did he poison you again? Liao Zhongshu shook his head with difficulty. Ever since you told me yesterday, I haven't touched the things he sent over. Chu Luiwei checked his soup bowl. It was indeed clean. The red blood goose poison is very strong. Even if you don't poison it, the poison will get worse. In the later stages, it will be defeated like a landslide. As Chu Luiwei spoke, he took out the medicine from the jade box. A strong medicinal fragrance spread out. Mu Hongyu took a deep breath and immediately felt comfortable. Chu Luiwei handed it to Liao Zhongshu. This medicine can only help you suppress the poison for now. As for the antidote, we'll think of something else. Liao Zhongshu didn't say anything. He took the medicine and drank it in one gulp. You trust us, Chu Luiwei said. A weak but sincere smile appeared on Liao Zhongshu's pale face. In my current state, who else can I trust if not you? They were friends who had gone through life and death together. Besides, this was his only choice. Rest first. Hongyu and I will go and check again. Liao Zhongshu nodded. Sorry to trouble you. I really don't know how to repay this friendship. Lu Hongyu, we're back. Before Liao Zhongshu could finish speaking, Sinhu's voice came from downstairs. Chu Luiwei let Liao Zhongshu rest alone and walked out with Mu Hongyu. When they reached the first floor, they saw Sinhu and Gu Mingfeng. Gu Mingfeng's face was injured. It looked like he had been through a lot in the past 2 days. Mu Hongyu was shocked and quickly walked forward. Mingfeng, what happened to you? Gu Mingfeng looked down. It's just a small injury. How is this a small injury? It was obvious that he had been beaten to death. Gu Mingfeng didn't say anything. He clearly didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to meet Chu Luiwei and Sinhu with such a face, but Sinhu dragged him along. Chu Luiwei only took one look before she retracted her gaze and asked in understanding. Was it done by someone from the Gu family? A better reading experience came from the Love Network. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.